Everybody's coming in now. Coming in hot now. Hi, Bert. How are you?
Hi. Hello there. I may have to jump out for a minute or two because I have a delivery coming in. I have to go to the door to get it. So
no worries.
If that happens, sorry, I will be right back.
Mr. Haney, how the heck are you?
Good. How are you, Mary?
You know, I'm doing okay. Well,
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have a quorum no matter what. And it is 5 o'clock. So if anybody would like me to wait another minute, I will. Otherwise, we could just get this party started. How's everybody feel about that?
Start.
Go for it.
Right.
Go
Meeting's
for it.
called to order at 5 p.m. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these indigenous people. We thank and honor the indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And now we'll have 1 minute of silence. We'll let Miles know what he's coming into. Miles, we're coming into 1 minute of silence. We've just read our land acknowledgement. All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, moving forward on the agenda, let's do a roll call. Mr. Secretary.
All right. Commissioner Lyons.
Present.
Commissioner Glover. I see Jim. Is he frozen? Oh, hey, Jim. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jim.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm here.
No worries. Thank you. Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Aronoff.
I'm here.
Commissioner Lochte.
Here.
I didn't receive any emails from anyone in specific, so I'm not seeing Commissioner Larson, Commissioner Perkins, Commissioner Sundberg, Commissioner Desir Harper, Commissioner Morgan. I don't think that there's anyone else I'm forgetting.
Bro.
Oh, yes, Aaron. All right. Seems like we barely made it to quorum.
Yeah, I expect a few will show up a little bit late, probably. All right, moving on. We've got some minutes to approve. Remember that Bird was cool enough to explain to us that this is not really a consent unless somebody brings something up. They'll just be approved by saying yay. So we have to approve our September 9th, October 7th, November 4th, and November 9th special meeting minutes. Yes, Jim.
My question is, does this catch us up fully?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Everybody had a chance to look at them and send any messages over. So without any further ado, those are approved and can move forward, David, and sent off to the county. Okay. Thanks. Were there any agenda adjustments? Did anybody see anything that wasn't included on the agenda that they want to add, or do we need to adjust anything on the agenda at this time?
I just wanted to ask when, excuse me, when we get to the report with the homeless committee, I'd like to perhaps change our protocol just a little bit and ask Janelle to present what she wants. She sent that email, and it seems to me that would be a good idea for everybody to hear and think about that as we discuss it. And then if she has something afterwards, she could add to that. But I think it might be a good idea to let her speak first.
Jim?
I fully agree with that, but what email? I haven't received one.
Well, that's why I want her to present this.
Okay, all right.
So
I assume some people did get it.
no, I think David and I may be the only ones because she had our emails.
Oh, okay.
And she did say she sent it to Humboldt County Human Rights Commission email, but maybe nobody saw that yet. It just came today.
Okay. Definitely, I taught all day, so I didn't see it. But I look forward to that. And if everybody's okay with a little bit of break in protocol so that we can have a presenter during the homelessness committee report. Hearing no naysayers, we're going to move forward then.
Thank you.
Public comment. I just want to remind everybody that during public comment period, we recognize and we will introduce, Jim, sorry.
Well, my question is, we do have a guest speaker here. Are you going to, at what point do you plan on having him make a report to us?
I think we're going to put that in public comment right now. You're talking about Miles?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, well, he's going to introduce himself and tell us what he wants to do a report on. So exactly. And then we'll see if, yeah. Okay, so during public comment, public is invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. If you're speaking about something on the agenda, we'll find out, Miles, and we'll figure something out there. And hi, it's good to see you, Miles. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes pursuant to the Ralph M. Brown Act. The commission cannot act on an item that is not appearing on the agenda. If a member of the public speaks and requests assistance on a non-agenda subject, the commission may not take any action or propose any solutions, but the citizen may we can give you a resource card and other things, and the members of the public will each be allowed to speak on agenda items once during the discussion, unless we make a special exception like we did today with what Bert asked for, and usually at the end of the commissioner comments. Time to speak will be closely monitored at 3 minutes per person. And at this time, the public's invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. Miles, I see that you're here as a guest. Maybe you can fill us in a little bit on what you're here for.
So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. I was invited to this by Chief Watson because he knew he was going to be retiring and wouldn't be able to make this. So I don't have a copy of the agenda. That was not forwarded to me by Chief Watson before he left, but I don't know if I was supposed to give a report in his stead or if there is something that the commission would like to hear from the city. I'm open to any suggestions.
So Miles, at this time, unless if there's any other public, so I'm going to have you hold off for just a second. And there is a spot for the EPD report, and we can move that up in the agenda so that you didn't have to sit here during the whole meeting if the rest of the commission is okay with that. But I want to make sure that there's any other public comments first, okay? So are there anybody else who would like to speak public comment on anything not on the agenda at this time? Carpani.
Thank you. This has been mulling over in my head for a while now. I would like to respectfully request that the commission take another look at the land acknowledgement and consider rethinking it and rewriting it. It sounds very disconnected to the people. It also nowhere says anything about that the WIAT land is unceded, the land which we occupy. It talks a lot about what the WIAT people are doing, but it doesn't say anything about our connection to that. So those are just some thoughts. So I would like to respectfully ask that there be a reconsideration of what the land acknowledgement is actually about. At this point, it sounds very disingenuous, and it makes me uncomfortable every time I hear it. So
All right.
I don't understand also what the minute of silence is about.
Karpani, because it's not on the agenda, I can't actually take any action or propose any solutions at this time.
I
But
get
am
that.
hearing what you're saying, and at another time, I'd be glad to speak with you about how we came upon and wrote about that. But at this time, we can't discuss it. But
I understand that. I'm just putting
next.
this request out there.
Okay, thank you, Karpani. I appreciate it, and we certainly will take that into consideration and move.
Thank you
forward.
very much.
No problem. I appreciate it. All right. Are there any other public comments at this point in time? All right. Seeing no public comments. Hold on a minute. Okay, seeing no more public comments, is everybody okay with moving the report up about that is in unfinished business about the EPD investigation report? Are all the commissioners okay with moving that report forward for now?
Yes.
All right. Dat Soley just came on, and we did not even count her as absent, but Dat Soley's on now. David?
God damn.
Okay, so we'll add, so count her as here. Okay, Miles, head on in and let us know what's going on, if you could.
Okay, so I don't know what the last update was, but I can give you the most recent update that I have. As far as the investigation is concerned, the investigation has been finalized. It's complete. We've reviewed everything associated with it. Corrective actions have been developed, and now we're waiting to go through the process that should follow. The process, depending on what happens, could be varying time frames as to when we can actually come out with information related to any sort of corrective actions. So if any individuals involved avail themselves of a scaly process, we have to go through that process. Once that process is done, there is a potential for an appeal. And if that appeal happens, then we have to go through that process. And then once the appeal is done, that is when more information can be put out there. So I can't give an actual time frame, but I can tell you that the investigation is complete. Corrective actions have been established, and we're waiting on what's going to happen next. That's unfortunately all I have right now, but can assure you that we have been trying to expedite this for a very long period of time. I've been through these processes before, and this has been an extensive one, but we definitely wanted to make sure that we were extremely thorough. And I think that we were, and I think that we want to be as open and transparent as possible when this is all said and done, but we still need to make sure that we're, not in violation of POBAR and not in violation of other things. And so there's going to be some interpretation that has to happen even after this process is completed, so that we can be sure what we're releasing is okay to release.
As a boss before, I understand where you're coming from. Jim, I did see your hand up first before.
Well, I started to raise my hand. Mr. Slattery, do you have even the roughest idea of how long you expect the process to take from this point on?
Yeah.
I've been guessing for far too long. I can't really say that, because once you get into the scaly hearings, there's a matter of coordinating the meetings for that. And then if it goes through an appeal process, then you have to convene the personnel board. Personnel board gets convened, it goes through that process, and then it has to go to council. So, and it could be, optimistically, these things happen. Those that are involved in it don't go through any of those things and they just go to a civil process right away, then it'll be a much quicker process if they don't choose to avail themselves of those other options. So it's very much up in the air.
2 months to 2 years, right?
Well, God, I don't even want to say this, but I would be astonished if it was 2 years. It is not going to be 2 years.
Okay. Bird?
I just wondered if you could give us an update about the leadership now that Chief Watson is no longer there.
So now Chief is gone. We, received recommendations for interim chiefs. The plan was to put an interim chief in place, have that position filled while we went through a recruitment process. We were hopeful that pre-employment information and survey would have been done by this time. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So since it's not, we are assigning Captain Stevens as the acting chief currently. And then once the pre-employment survey, if all goes well, we will put in place the interim chief and begin the recruitment process. So right now, Captain Stevens is acting Chief Stevens, and we're hopeful to have somebody in place no later than 30 days, but most likely in a couple of weeks is what we're hoping as an interim. And that interim position is exactly what it means. It's an interim. It's done for a time frame so that we can go out for a recruitment process. We are going to go for a search as far and wide as possible so we can get somebody that fits the needs of our community. And we're going to, and just to be clear, that includes, Humboldt County is a part of the nation. So Humboldt County will be a part of that recruitment. I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people telling me that we need to go in-house. It's because we're going for a search does not prevent locals or people within the agency to apply.
Jim, did you ever hand up again?
Well, could you explain the difference or the distinction between an acting chief and an interim chief? Seems like they both are playing the same role.
Not necessarily. So the interim chief is typically for a set period of time based on certain criteria. An acting chief can be put in place if the current chief is not available. Like if Chief Watson, when he was here, was to leave, an acting chief would be put in his stead, and they're the acting chief until that chief comes back.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that we went through to hire a new executive director of the Humane Society, and we went far and wide, and we ended up hiring somebody from the Humane Society who fit just perfect. So who was already there and had not been a director before. So, the person could be here or not. Well, Miles, I'm sure that you don't want to sit here through the rest of our meeting. So we want to thank you for checking in. And this is kind of something Chief Watson's been doing monthly. So if you're able to kind of either pass it off to the interim once he comes on, that would be great so that we can keep getting updated on the texting situation until
that's definitely what we'd like to do. So if you guys could add my email to your distribution list so that I can be
okay, let me get it.
The rest of it, it'll either be myself or it'll be the acting or interim.
Perfect. And what is it, Miles?
It's M like Mary, S like Sam, LATTERY at ci.eureka.ca.gov.
Thanks. Did you get that as well, David? I did too. So we'll just make sure that we send out a copy of our agenda so that it kind of gives Miles a like, oh yeah, I got to put that on my calendar. Great.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, we all appreciate you, and we all appreciated Chief Watson, and I know that Acting Chief Stevens is a pretty cool guy because I've gone to the coffee with the captains before, so he's
yes, indeed.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it. Look forward to more conversations.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, commission communications. We do have a letter that Jim talked about, but we're going to go ahead and discuss that during the homeless. I think would be a good place to discuss that. Did anybody else get any emails? And we can pick out where we want to send them to. I think, Guy, we've got plenty to discuss after the letter got sent out. I think during that time, does anybody have anything that's aside from that? Because we should kind of pull all that together and discuss it there, I feel like. No? I will tell you that I am through, so moving on to line item B, other announcements, communications. Through Humboldt County Office of Education, I am in a bystander intervention training to know how to do that as a teacher and as a community member as well. And because Humboldt County Office of Education has put together something that might be useful for us to have presented to us at the commission at some time, I'll just kind of mull that over and get in touch with you guys and see if we think that'd be something good, because we talked about that when we originally formed our hate speech committee, and then it became the kindness committee, and we had talked about that all kind of came out of racist activities at high school games and some other things. And we had talked a lot about what we could do, and we had broached the idea of what it would look like to do a bystander intervention training. So I think it might be something good for us to learn more about as a commission and as community members ourselves. So I thought before we did anything else, it might be something that we could have presented at the Human Rights Commission, but to actually, I mean, it's not a 15-minute training, but I'll keep you guys abreast of it. The training's not over yet. I do another 3 hours coming up in a week. But it's kind of cool to know that our Humboldt County Office of Education is now engaging with bystander intervention training for teachers and other community members so that they can spread that out a little bit and go in and talk to students in their classroom, as well as community members abroad. So I just kind of wanted to let you guys know that I was doing that. If there's any other announcements or communications? We're keeping this short and sweet today, aren't we? How about our message line report? Mr. Glover, how was November 1st to the 15th? You've done some of it, but let's...
I know I didn't report any of it yet.
Let's do it.
There were only two verifiable type of calls that I could deal with during that period. One was from a fellow that needed help filling out Social Security information because he was disabled in some fashion. I directed him to talk to the Tri-County Independent Living for assistance. I haven't heard back from him, so I'm hoping that that was successful. The other item was a call from a radio station. I forget where the radio station was, but anyway, they were interested in following up on our submission of the homeless statement to the Board of Supervisors. And my understanding is that Guy was interviewed by that radio station, and that was the end of my involvement during that period.
Perkins is not here.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was a couple minutes late.
So there you are. I don't know why. I was confusing you for Carol. I apologize. I don't know why.
No, sorry. I was a little bit late. I have basketball practice like a half an hour away from my daughter, and then I'm gonna have to leave early to go pick her up. But
we're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. I had a hard time with the call line, which is kind of embarrassing to admit. And then also with, I don't know if we should talk about this right now, but also with the Google Docs, like filling it out, it didn't seem like it worked. So like when I clicked, there's a call or not, it didn't seem like it actually registered it. There, like normally when you click on that, but maybe because I use Safari, I'm not sure.
No, it works. Oh, sorry. I'll go in and look at that tonight. Thank you.
I followed your entries and it looked like
So you were able to, okay, I was able to enter it easily, but the other docs, and I realized that there was two of them. One was like a template maybe, and another one was what we were supposed to fill out, but yeah.
You just copy it, you're fine.
Okay. So I did have calls. The first call I had was Ryan Wolf. And he was in the Humboldt County Correction Facility.
So I would recommend leaving names out.
Don't say.
Shoot. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. This is all new to me. So, yes. They were in the Humboldt County Correctional Facility. They were hoping for a visit. They're disabled. Do I read how much information do I give?
As much as you feel like we need to hear.
But besides names, of course. Okay.
Yeah. I see Access Humboldt's on here, Sean. I hope he is recording this because I'm not tonight. I saw him on here. So.
Okay.
And I wonder if I should hit record. I'm a little confused. I'm going to record it just in case. Sorry, guys. I'm going to record it.
Recording in progress.
There we go. But we didn't get his name. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So they were looking for someone to come visit. They felt like they're having intentional emotional distress. They were being placed in non-ADA compliant cells, and they were disabled. They are disabled and trans, and were feeling like they were being mistreated, and were hoping for help. So I went off the list of who was accessing the jail, the liaison, and contacted, I hope, the right people eventually. And Larry got back to me and said that Larry was in touch and was going to talk to someone and try to get in there to speak to them. And then another person called about the letter, and they were really, really thankful and grateful for the letter and the work that everyone was doing on the Human Rights Commission, and had really a lot of ideas about housing homeless people in schools that were defunct. Zoe Barnum High School was one of the schools he mentioned. All the infrastructure being there, showers, and it was a really long message, a really positive, a lot of thank yous. And then the last one, the person they have a bear problem, and they were trying to get ammunition is what it sounded like. And they did the NCIC at the store that he was trying to purchase it at. And it sounded like it was undetermined. It came back undetermined, and they were requesting a live scan. And he felt like his Second Amendment rights were being held hostage. And it was a long phone call as well. And so I directed him in the direction of the legal assistants that are on the list that I printed off. And I wasn't sure how else to help him. So that was my 3 calls.
You did a great job. Look at you. Wow. First time on the message line. You did great. I'm proud of you. Awesome. Yeah, some messages, we just have to compassionately hear them all. And as anybody who's listened to the message line for long enough knows, sometimes there are, and Larry's always the go-to. So
okay, that's really good to know. I went over the list, and then there was several people that were jail liaisons. I wasn't sure who to contact. I emailed 3, and then of course the one that I left off the email was the one who I was supposed to contact. So
Larry normally, moving forward, Larry's our kind of the head liaison, and then Larry would be like, Marianne, you need to go, or someone else needs to go, or I can't go. So am I correct, Larry? That's kind of where I think that's with putting it all together and creating what would work well for Larry as our head liaison. That's kind of where, because he's done a lot of groundwork to kind of get that all put together.
Yep.
Thanks, Larry. We appreciate you. Okay. Okay, we would like to know, we're going to look at our February and see if anybody, I have Ellen Murphy. Okay, I have the end of January. Right now we have Haney the first 2 weeks of December. Larry, you're doing the second 2 weeks of December. Eddie's doing the first 2 weeks of January. I'm doing the second 2 weeks of January. Do we have anybody who'd like to do the first 2 weeks of February? Bird would like
do
to,
that.
okay. Lochte for the first 2 weeks of February. Second 2 weeks of February. Who do we got for the second 2 weeks? That's how you want to try it again?
I might do that. Let me check my calendar, the school calendar really quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, do it. I'd like, great, because Lori, you will have just done it. So getting some of our newer members in to do it is very helpful, actually.
Mary?
Well, go ahead, hon. I'm here. I'm here. Okay.
I'm a little bit worried. You said Eddie was in coming up, and we haven't really heard from Eddie in 2 or 3 meetings. So I'm a little bit concerned about him taking my phones.
I think Eddie made it to the last meeting, didn't he? Was Eddie?
No.
Okay, Jim, did you talk to Eddie the other day when you were going to talk to him?
Well, yeah, but we weren't talking about this.
Yeah, but see, Eddie's still, he's there. He's still here. I'm going to have faith. And if something comes up, I will reach out.
So, who's the person before Eddie's
You
term?
are. You are.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll send him an I'll give him a call and an email.
And reach out to me if he finds himself unable to do it, okay? Reach out to me. I don't want you to do it for a whole month. We've got plenty of folks here. Okay, what does it look like, Ms. Perkins? How do you feel about that?
It actually is the school break. It might not be the best for me.
Right, I understand.
Beginning of February, I would switch with somebody.
Okay, Bird, would you be willing to do it the second part of February?
No, I won't be around.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Be around.
I'll take it, Mary.
Well, you'll have just had it 2 weeks before. Mr. Glover, would you be able to during that time, or Mr. Aronoff? Guy can? Okay, we're going to throw Guy. Because I want to. It's interesting because once you finally get on there and do it, it's kind of interesting. Not too much. It takes 5 minutes a day normally, unless you get a 25-minute long phone call. But which can happen. They call back 3 times and keep talking, finish up. But that's okay, because that's what we're here for, is to compassionately and with kindness accept whatever anybody needs. So thank you, and always thank you to the folks who are always wanting to do it. Bert and Jim have been and Larry have been our heroes for a long time, so it's nice to get new faces in. Okay, moving forward, let's do the treasurer's report, Mr. Aronoff.
McLean Foundation has been fabulous. Got a check from them. Going to probably get another one this month, so we get all the money out of the grant, so we don't give any of it back. We currently have a balance finally that's in 4 digits instead of almost zero. We have $1,411.94 currently as of now. So
Wonderful.
So everything is doing okay right now.
And I can't thank you enough, because COVID and all the other exigencies were a trial. And you're awesome.
I have a question.
Huh? Go ahead. Yeah, Bert.
Guy, have you talked to McLean about the possibility of applying for another grant next year?
They mentioned it. I haven't gone any further with it. I was going to talk to you about it because I know you've been kind of the lead on that.
Well, it's easy to do. So I think we should think about that and what we want to be doing. So everybody should be thinking about what we want to be doing. Perhaps that could be on the agenda for our January meeting, what people think we might need money for to request.
Yeah. Denise did send a form out, I think, for a grant. So
yeah, she's really good about it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Guy, did you say 141195? 94?
94.
Thank you.
All right. Guy, you're my hero. Okay, so agenda item 8, Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. Mr. Miller, what do you got?
I was just, since I've started, we've had 7 folks from the jails contact the Human Rights Commission. I think we've established fairly good rapport with our liaison, Sarah Flores, at the jail. She's working with us very well. We have, she has brought a inmate call or interest who wanted to talk with us without going through our phone line. It was one inmate who had contacted us prior and previously, but this was a new situation and very concerning. He was strip search. He felt totally unjustified. That was totally unjustified. He filed a grievance concerning it, but was uncomfortable with how the grievance went or was going because some of the jailers that were involved in this strip search were also involved in the review of the situation. He felt that it should be the administration should be handling the process. So he filed a complaint about that, which is ongoing right now. I have spoken with Sarah concerning the situation and asked her to send me a copy of the inmate jail complaint process, so I can be up to speed to know what should be and what isn't. So that's as I say, I think as the Christmas approaches, we're going to probably be getting significantly more contact from folks in the jail. It's a very sad, lonely place to be during the holidays. So that's my report.
Every month,
Jim?
you just keep doing cool things. Jim, go ahead.
Well, this kind of piggybacks on what you were talking about, Larry. I was curious, is the person that was filing the complaint the same person that I'm dealing with right now?
No.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
No.
The follow-up to Dotso's report is that there is an inmate that I was supposed to speak with yesterday, and right at the last minute, I got a call from the jail saying that he couldn't participate because of housing issues. And it's interesting because housing issues is part of what he was complaining about in the first place. He is disabled, he is trans, and I don't have much more detail except that I will be meeting with him on the phone at 9:00 on Monday morning.
Sounds like you and Larry will have to combine some notes on that one, huh?
Well,
Is he still incarcerated?
Pardon?
Is he still incarcerated?
Oh yeah, he's in jail. Yes.
All right, yeah. Just since he's our correctional facilities liaison.
Well, he assigned me this particular job. That's why I'm saying something.
Okay. So you guys are already talking. No.
We're already talking.
Can I say? All right, Larry, you are much appreciated. You have done a lot to get everything kind of lined up on that, and I really appreciate it. Seems like things are happening. Let's move to our standing committee reports. Mr. Haney, do we have anything on the sanctuary ordinance?
Yes, thank you, Mary. So Guy and myself had a meeting this last month with Karen from Centro del Pueblo regarding the sanctuary ordinance. It was a good meeting. We got a lot of feedback from Karen, and I took really good notes on the meeting. Guy asked some really great questions, and I've got all that in the notes as well. I think that if I was to give a gist of it, there was discussion about the report that's going to get drafted to basically answer the questions that Centro del Pueblo put in their letter to the commission a few months ago. What has been done locally about the sanctuary ordinance? Unless I'm wrong, and Guy can correct me, I think that there's going to be meetings scheduled with law enforcement to ask them what their feedback is on the sanctuary ordinance and what actions have been taken. And there was also discussion of an annual report to happen in similar fashion to this report that gets drafted, just to have this happen every year, so that way there can be an update on what's happening locally with the sanctuary ordinance. There was discussion, especially amongst from Karen, and I want to again thank Karen for joining us during that meeting. We talked about the need for education in the community around the sanctuary ordinance. A lot of people don't know what the sanctuary ordinance is or that it exists. And so yeah, again, it was a great meeting. We plan on having a meeting again this month, because we're in December here already, and continuing the process to draft the report and further educate the community.
Awesome. I saw that you mentioned that Guy was there. Guy, are you on the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee? And I did not have your name on here. I apologize for that. I just want to add that. And then I'm not sure who was first.
Bird
or
was
Jim?
first.
Okay, Bird.
Is Eddie still on that committee?
He
Eddie.
is.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Thank you.
But can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I'm a little concerned. This is supposed to be a publicly noticed meeting. I only found out about it by going to look for the agenda for tonight's meeting. I think it is at the very minimum, all of the commissioners should be notified of any standing committee meeting in the future. And I don't think Eddie knew about the meeting, or at least that's the.
Well, Guy sent.
Excuse me.
Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I spoke with him the other day. I asked him, was he at the meeting? And he seemed unaware of the meeting. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I'll review the emails, Jim, but if I were to say off the top of my head, I think that I might not have included Eddie on there. I know specifically that I had gotten communication and feedback from Guy and Mary, and so Eddie might not have been on the email string. And so I do apologize about that. And, we'll definitely send out this standing committee agenda when it's drafted and, ready to go. Send it out to all of the commissioners, so that way everyone's apprised of this meeting in all of these meetings moving forward.
Yeah, that would be great.
And as a point of, aren't our standing committees supposed to have a 48-hour notice and be put on our, we don't have to have a 48-hour notice?
I didn't say that. It's a 72-hour notice, just like a regular meeting.
Right, and we're supposed to post that on our page, correct? I mean, on our website,
And it was.
county website, correct?
It was, but unless you went there to look for something, you wouldn't have known that it was there.
Got it. Yeah, I didn't look at who was included in it, but that's good to know moving forward. Thanks for bringing up what could have probably been an oversight. I appreciate you, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Sure.
Human Trafficking Fund report. That would be Mr. Morgan, but was there any action taken on it this month? Bird?
No, not that I know of, except that I did get the final amount that's still in the fund at Humboldt Area Foundation. If you remember, one of the grants was returned. So we still have $5,425.37 in that fund. We do need to be thinking about, are we going to request another $2,000 for in the next budget cycle? We didn't request that for 21-22. So I think we should think about, are we going to request it again? And then advertise for more projects and so forth to get a grant.
Indeed.
Jim has a question.
Yes.
It's
Jim.
not a question so much as just to let you know that at the request of Katrina Taylor, I instigated an informal meeting of this committee with Eddie. That's where I was speaking with him, and I made mention of that. She was concerned that she needed more technical advice. She also wanted to kind of get an idea of where we go from here. I think the committee does need to meet again in a formal way. She might have a way of spending some of that money, but she needs to come up with new plans. I suggested to her that at her December trafficking collaboration, which usually includes a number of people from the Seroptimus Club and from the church that she belongs to or she works with, that there might be some people that would like to get involved at a more technical level to work on this going forward. She was floundering a little bit and uncertain, and I think we made her feel more comfortable, but the ball is in her court to make some new proposals.
So maybe for that you could, I guess that's kind of a bit of a report for a informal human trafficking meeting. Did you, was Eddie able to help with any of the technical issues?
I don't think we got very far on that particular issue, but the committee should meet again and work that out. What Eddie knows in his head doesn't always translate easily to somebody else. Let's put it that way.
Indeed. And is Eddie still planning on what we had discussed? Okay, I'll just let that go. I'll call
that was in your call. That was in your
right. Never mind. Okay. So is there anything else to report on? So I was busy. I'm sorry. I was busy reviewing the emails to make sure, and Eddie was not included in the emails for the Sanctuary Ordinance Committee meeting. So, okay. Sorry, guys. That's why it looked like I wanted to make real sure that he hadn't been included, and so he should have been. Okay.
Mary, may I really quickly too ask a question before we leave the standing committee reports section? So I guess I was just under a misunderstanding. I guess I thought that any meetings of any standing committees had to be fully agendized, but it sounds like there is the possibility for what's called informal meetings. Can I be given more information on how am I just allowed to send emails out and call an informal meeting that doesn't also have to be agendized, or?
No, I would say that what Jim and Eddie did is in our last meeting last month, we discussed that Katrina was having some difficulties and tech issues, and Jim had offered to reach out to Eddie to discuss those specific things, and that was not what I would consider a human trafficking fund committee meeting. Am I correct in that assessment, Jim?
That's the way I saw it.
Right. So this would have been like if I called you and discussed the race of cultural awareness, a specific thing that was going on. So I would not consider that what Jim did to be a meeting at all, because all of the committee members weren't there. And I feel like, and Jim did call me and talk to me about it beforehand, and it was specifically about tech issues because he wanted to know if I discussed something else also. So I think that was specifically to address Katrina's tech issues for the Human Trafficking Fund website. So,
okay, I'm not. I'm just trying to ask to make sure I know how to properly call meetings, or I want to make sure I'm not doing it wrong.
Right. No, you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it correctly. And what Jim had was not an informal meeting, to make a correction. He did not have an informal meeting. He met with Eddie, who was the tech person who helped Katrina when they were setting up the human trafficking website, to see if they could resolve some issues. Jim?
I was going to bring this up later in the agenda, in the meeting under proposed new business, but upon reviewing what I was concerned about with both standing committees, it is obvious to me that our bylaws have a big hole in them when it comes to defining what a standing committee must follow in terms of its rules. And we need to address that at the earliest possible time so that we won't be confused as to what's proper and what's improper.
Thank you, Jim. I have it noted for new business, and we'll repeat that to make sure David gets that down at the end. And I'm glad that we tried to address some of those tech issues. Doesn't sound like it was completely resolved yet, but I'm glad that we're working towards that so that we can keep that human trafficking website up. Okay, moving on, if that's okay with everybody, ad hoc committee reports. Our Racism Cultural Awareness Committee. First of all, I'd like to say that I looked back and did we change the end date on that? Because right now it's ending 12/31/21, and I didn't find in any previous notes. I tried. Did we move that forward? And that would be Ms. Larson. No, and she's not here. Did anybody else meet on this month?
Not that I know of, Mary. And there has not yet been an extension. That is the last extension that we have for that committee.
When's the last time this committee met?
I couldn't say off the top of my head.
Then I'm of the mind that we go ahead, Bert.
Well, I think this is now when we should hear from Janelle.
The Racism Cultural Awareness?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were finished. No,
but
yeah, okay.
But I think that we should let it naturally expire then, and it's in time when we need to readdress this, or when we feel that we have commissioners that do have the bandwidth, because sometimes we just don't have enough bandwidth. And so at this point then, this committee is going to expire and it will not be on the agenda next month.
Well, if the committee were to meet during December and their deadline is December 31st, shouldn't they at least be able to give a final report if they should happen to meet?
Absolutely.
So it wouldn't expire until the 31st. So they technically
exactly. I'm just saying that. So I should have it on the next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay, that makes total sense. I don't know why. Moving on to our homelessness committee. This is also due to expire 12/31/21. If anybody on the committee would like to extend it, Mr. Aronoff.
Yes.
Hi there.
It's not going to disappear.
Okay, so we'll have a motion for that. Would you like to do your report first or motion first? It's up to you.
Let's do a motion first, I guess, to extend it at least for another year, I would think. It's not, the issue's definitely not going to go away in 2022, so we might as well at least go for another year.
I second.
Come on.
Second, we have a second. Do we have any discussion about this particular
Can't
motion
get
on the
it done,
table?
huh?
Do we have discussion? All right, call a vote. Mr. Haney.
Right. Commissioner Lyons.
Yay.
Commissioner Haney is yay, or yes. Commissioner Aronoff.
Yes.
Commissioner Glover.
Yes.
Commissioner Lochte.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
And I think that's everyone here. Motion passes. Or I'm sorry, any no's? Well, there's no one else here to vote no or abstain, so motion passes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Aronoff, would you like to give us your report?
Democracy in action. Well, there's not too much. I mean, other than the fact that we did have a special meeting in November that did pass our letter on, I guess, to the Board of Supervisors. And of course, I do know it was sent out to about 25 different agencies. I emailed quite a number of them. I actually only heard back from about 3 people directly. And as Jim has already mentioned, we got a call from a radio station up in Crescent City, and I sat for a 10-minute radio broadcast that I didn't hear, but apparently it went off. And I did ask the gentleman to send me a copy, so I guess we can put it in our records, and I'm still waiting on that. So hopefully I'll get a stick drive from him, or he was talking about Dropbox getting that over to us.
What radio station, Guy?
KFUG in Crescent City.
Thank you.
I forgot what the numbers are, but I think it's, I don't even want to guess now. The name is enough, I think. Beyond that, the ad hoc committee didn't meet again in November, but I do have, just a couple things, and I don't know what Janelle wanted to talk about, but I'm looking forward to hearing that. But I did want to mention real quickly to people, if they were interested in participating or at least listening in, I can, send out an email to people on that. But Arcata does have 2 meetings coming up addressing some of the homeless issue. One of them is the Gateway Plan that's going to be held on December 9th to develop the area to the southwest of the city, basically along Old Samoa Road. That's going to be a Zoom meeting as well as a walking meeting. And then almost a week later, on December 15th, the Arcata Planning Commission will have a meeting at 6 p.m. dealing with the homeless zoning map. This is dealing with Valley West. They want to, I'm sure most of you have seen that in the news, they want to convert a couple of motels and provide about 150 rooms for permanent rooms for the homeless. So will be interesting to see how that goes. But other than that, like I said, I'd like to hear from Janelle.
All right, Janelle, most patient one in the room. What you got for us?
Well, as I understood it, you were talking about the Shelter Crisis Code. The declaration was part of what you were talking about. And so the letter that I wrote, it was a letter to the planning department, county planning department, and it is regarding a safe crisis and safe, a safe parking, safe tent pilot ordinances. And I didn't know if you had heard about this or knew about this, but it is related to what you're talking about, because they're basically planning, putting forth ordinances for the safe parking and pilot programs. And in essence, I agree with them. However, I have this thing about housing first, and I have a thing about people being in situations where not only their human rights, but their civil rights are respected. So in my letter, I quote from a petition that when it came out of the sleeping sites, the Eureka sleeping sites. I was there for the 6 months every morning, just basically keeping the police civil is what I saw my role as. I brought coffee and just tried to keep things civil. I was also involved in the Palico Marsh, and I mentioned that in the letter. I detail what I see are some issues with the program that they've put forward. I think the cost is high. It's limited to overnight hours. These are just simply night shelters, and the programs that the navigation. There's also a navigation site, say 24/7, but that's tied to services, and that makes perfect sense. Any service organization who wants to receive state, federal money are there. The people that they work with have to meet certain requirements. And many of the homeless do not meet those requirements. And those requirements are that they have a disability, basically, of some sort. And that could be, I'm kind of going off. But anyway, so my thing is that all of the people need a place to live. And so my idea is to, let's see if I can find something that will kind of. So I'm just going to read, which is easier for me. Adopted housing first approach de-emphasizes on-site services, demonstrates that with a place to live within the community, even those suffering with mental health and or addiction recover and are successful. Combining program services with 24/7 shelter, which is a navigation center, is more expensive. Making people, I'm going to add this to this place, making people leave every morning and leave their stuff and go to who knows where and not being allowed to come back to their stuff is inhumane and denies them their civil rights to privacy and ability to hold possessions. But anyway, what is being proposed is helpful and even necessary for some, this combination of program and housing. But it is unwanted and unnecessary for others. So I guess basically following housing first, what I have been proposing since people were in the marsh is that a campground under basic tenancy laws be established. And that if an organization wants to help provide funding, the rent, help people pay their rent at that location, then that would be a way that, that could be doing. And that's everybody else who does not qualify for services could live there and have some type of tenancy agreement. And some people I know from being at the sleeping sites could afford to pay a minimal amount. I know other people that couldn't, but they would be very helpful to contribute in some way in order to stay at a place and have a decent place to live. There's gazillions of money coming down. It's wonderful, all the housing funding. But what do we do in the meantime? I think I've gone on enough. If there's any questions. Oh, one last thing. When you read my letter, there's a place where I didn't finish, right? It says and what it should have said is comments to the planning department. So my apologies for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Does anybody have any questions for Janelle? Jim?
Well, it's not a question for Janelle, but whoever does have a copy of the letter, would you make sure that it gets circulated to the rest of us? Because
David, you have it, don't you?
Yes, I actually, it went to, it's no fault of Janelle's. She just had my work email prior, but it went to my work email and I had just recently found it. And so I forwarded it to my regular email and I'll send it out to everyone tonight.
Great.
Thank you, David. And could you, when you send that out, because several commissioners are missing, let them know that Janelle presented tonight and the gist of it was what's in the letter. That'd be great.
Got it.
Thanks. We appreciate you. Oh, sorry, Bert, you're up in the top corner.
I would just like to ask Janelle, if I'm understanding you correctly, the basic thing you're asking for is something that people can stay in for 24 hours at a time, not just a night shelter.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is what's different than what a sanctuary camp, and that is that there are tenancy. There is a tenancy agreement with each individual, because that gives people civil rights.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you, Janelle, for the energy and the compassion and the kindness and the commitment you have to this cause. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Human Rights Survey, Ms. Lochte.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Your hand came up. I'm going to look down and take my notes.
Well, now that we've completed part of this discussion, my question is, has the Board of Supervisors received our letter, and have they indicated when they might take it up?
I know that Mr. Bone did respond and saw the letter, and I have not gotten any word that they're taking it up yet.
Are you turning it in to the clerk of the board?
Yep. So it's getting worked. I will call the clerk in the morning again. All right. Thanks for that reminder, Jim.
Excuse me. I couldn't find the letter. Is it? Have you posted it to your webpage? Your letter? I haven't seen your letter. I'd only seen what was written in the press. And what
probably exactly the same.
That's the letter. Whatever you saw.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
okay.
But it will be posted, and thanks to Bird reminded me I'm going to be adding that letter to the end of our special meeting minutes that's going to get posted on the Humboldt County government website. So it will be on the county's website shortly.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, let's look at the Human Rights Survey, Ms. Lochte.
Well, I think Jim has the
Jim,
report.
right,
Yes.
Jim. Okay.
Here you go, Jim.
We had a recent meeting with Ellen, who is present, and hi, Ellen. And the survey is now on the county website, and it's live and functioning. And perhaps it would be best if I didn't expect Ellen to be with us tonight, so I'm a little surprised. But Ellen, would you like to recap what we've done in the last few weeks?
Sure. I can do that. Well, it looks like it worked out with the RIB committee, so it's all set and ready to go. And I'm reaching out to several organizations and media and schools, starting to hear feedback and starting to hear people who would like to post it. This morning, I got an email from the McKinleyville Family Resource Center, and they're going to be posting it as well. I put together a flyer with just basically what the survey is about and a QR code, and I can put that on the shared Google Drive if that's helpful to people, or I can email it to you if you'd like. Want to see what that looks like? I'm hoping to get that out so people can easily access the survey. And I've been in talks with Humboldt State, their research and survey group or organization, and we're going to be sending the survey out to several students. There's a group of 300 students, hopefully pretty soon here. That date isn't finalized, but that I'm hoping will bring back lots of responses. I think everything seems to be going well, but I welcome any comments or questions or anything like that. I'm happy to hear.
Have we notified Los Gatos Outpost or anybody else, any news outlets that we're doing this survey?
Yes.
We have?
I did
Great.
notify them. There's an Excel file on the internship little tab on their on the shared Google Drive, and you can see the different places that I've emailed to, and that was one of them. I think I emailed them, I want to say the day before yesterday, but the date's on there when that was done. And if I haven't heard back, my hope is to work on this next coming week by about Tuesday, following up on some of the people who I haven't heard back from that I'd like to make sure it got to the right people.
Yeah, I figure if Las Casas Outpost can print our letter, they should be able to print the link to our survey.
I hope so. That would be great.
They've got 15,000 people on there.
It might be desirable if other members of the commission have constituencies that we might have missed in the initial stages of this, getting that information to us. We can make sure that they get included in any updates.
Yes, please. I'm probably missing someone out there. I'm first go around, I'm likely to miss someone. So definitely would love to hear any leads that you have or specific people within organizations that you think would be likely to be helpful. I am all ears.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think maybe Kim Kemp would be really good for the South County.
Kim
as
Kemp?
far as-
redheaded black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people read Las Casas Outpost down here as well, but I think a lot of Kim Kemp.
Okay, thank you for that. That's helpful.
I agree.
I'd just like to say that Jim and I have been very impressed with Ellen and all of the work that she has put into this. We are going to have a really good survey out there. She's done everything possible to get good results. So we're just hoping that people will fill it out and send the results back to us. But even if we don't get a whole lot, Ellen has done everything she could to make it a really successful one. So thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Bird. Thank you, Jim and Bird. Without your help, it would not be where it is. So thank you for all your helpful advice and guidance. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Kudos, Ellen. Great. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. And honestly, please email me or if you have any ideas about who to reach out to or any comments or questions, I'd very much like to hear them.
Any other comments or questions for Ellen or the committee? All right, moving on. How about the new commission logo?
Hi. So I was not able to get in touch with anyone from Ink People or the organization that David recommended to me. I emailed them. I didn't have any phone contact information for them, and no one responded to me. Maybe they went to spam. I did call the Ink People and left messages there as well as email. And then Aaron and Jim and I were going to meet up, and Aaron was under the weather. And then we kind of talked again, but we actually haven't met up again. So I guess maybe me and Jim should meet up and talk. But my suggestion was to maybe take it and make it more of a social media competition, kind of put it out there that way, and maybe reach out to the universities, the college, art departments, and maybe even high schools, and kind of let them know about it. And maybe we could speak about that in the meeting.
Dato, do you think that 2 months we're cutting yourself a little short at this point? And we should
looking at the date, not necessarily, but that, maybe next meeting, maybe bump it forward a month. I'm not sure, depending on how quickly Jim and I and hopefully Aaron meet up.
Okay.
We still have 3 months here, a little over 3 months, almost 4, right? December, January.
And the committee ends on the 28th of February.
The 28th of February, yeah. So
3 months.
Yeah, maybe move it forward 1 more month.
Well, that would be if you feel like you're the chair of that committee, and if you feel like you need that time, then give us a motion. We'll second it and talk about it. How do you feel about that? Would you like to go a little further? It's okay if it ends. It's okay if you push it out a couple months farther and we get it taken care of sooner. But I think that with the holidays coming up this month,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Quick, so then you'll only have the 8 weeks. Jim?
I move that we extend the committee until June 30th of 2022.
Do you think that far ahead?
We don't have to use all of that time, but
Yeah.
if you give us, it'll take the pressure off.
Okay.
I think, guys, as Guy, are you seconding it? All right, discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Commissioner Lyons,
Yay.
Commissioner Haney is a yay. Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Aronoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Lochte,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll move forward to unfinished business. I have not gotten any more updates on the Yeehaw commune, so I'm going to remove that from business moving forward. We'll consider it complete. We haven't gotten complaints, so I think they must have worked something out with the planning department. Existing storage and updates. I don't think we got much movement. Jim, have you found anything out about where, or I haven't found anything out about where other commissions keep their records. So I was trying to find that out, but I haven't found that out yet.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Epd Taxi Investigation was already reported on. The resource cards report, we wanted to find out if there was a newer one made or anything, and I haven't gotten any information back on that yet. Is anybody else?
Are you in touch with Laurel Johnson?
I did not send her an email this month, but am in touch with her. I will.
She's usually pretty good about responding.
Yeah, I'll reach, and that might be my remiss. Okay, future meeting planning. At this point in time, I can say that we now have a new transformer on the books, Omicron. I don't know. I haven't found a place for us to meet in public yet, and I don't know if the county board of supervisors is going to go back to. I think everything's in flux. We don't know what's going to happen with. So I think for January we will have a Zoom meeting, and we may have more information for February. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Some of you I've never even met in person, so I would really like to have a meeting in person. It'd be kind of great. I'll bring the. Okay, hearing nothing. On new business, we did have Indigenous peoples issues, missing and murdered rates, and that was brought forward to be added to the agenda by Ms. Sundberg, and she is not here. So if anybody else has anything to want to add to that, Mr. Aronoff?
No, I was talking with Ms. Sundberg about it, and I don't know what the rest of you would think about it, but I was hoping maybe we would, obviously without her here, we don't want to go too far, but I was hoping we would create an ad hoc committee just dealing with Native American issues, because I think it's something that's rather important, especially in our county, to be addressing on a regular basis. But if we want to wait until she's back at the next meeting, that's fine as well too.
I completely agree, and that's kind of where I thought we would go, Ms. Lochte.
I think that's a very good idea, and it would also give us a chance to address Kapani's concerns that she brought up at the beginning of the meeting, because we made the ad hoc committee broad enough for Indigenous issues.
So
it would certainly address one of my complaints with that as well.
I'm sorry, Guy, go ahead.
I was just going to say that while I appreciate the effort having an opening address to Native issues, that I've been pretty familiar with it on campus and a lot of organizations, but I certainly would like to see us go beyond just lip service and actually look at issues that are important to our community, and to also recognize they are a large part of our community. So I think, I don't know whether an ad hoc committee or a standing committee, I'm not really totally clear on the differences on that as well, but certainly I think we should have a regular committee dealing with Native issues.
I completely agree. I do think that when we were talking about earlier about the statement that was looked over by our local tribal members and went through a pretty serious vetting and was approved before it even came to us for us to approve it was so as far as the as our acknowledgement at the beginning that was looked over by the tribes and tribal members vetted it through Lisa before it came to us for a vote. So I can say that for right now. It did get completely vetted. It took about 4 months to make that. And it was vetted. Bird?
I would suggest that we start with an ad hoc committee because then we can discuss the issues and decide if there is one or more issues that we want to have as a standing committee. The standing committee is one that will have to be noticed with 72 hours. It's subject to the Brown Act. The ad hoc committee does not, and I think to start, it would be a good idea not to tie ourselves down as any more than we have to.
Sounds good.
So do we want to take the step to create an ad hoc committee this evening, Jim?
Well, two things. I would say let's establish the committee tonight. There's no reason not to. But if Carpani could supply some written backup for your concerns about the existing statement, that would give the committee something to do right from the get-go.
Yeah, good idea.
If you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Okay, then.
So can I propose that we form
Yes.
an ad hoc committee?
There you go. That's what I
I
said.
second it.
Second.
Okay, Jim and Bert are fighting over the second, so I'll let you decide.
I don't care. As long as it gets seconded.
Okay, is there any discussion? Would we want to add a proposed end date to this?
Yeah. Needs a,
Okay, so I would propose an end date of 6/30/22. I don't think I can propose anything since I'm the chair, though. Or can I propose an end date?
we can propose that, but I think that's a good start because we can extend or change to a standing committee.
I agree. Okay. All right, so it sounds to me like we have a motion on the table to have an ad hoc committee with a end date of 6/30/22. And would we normally discuss, Jim and Bert, we would discuss who we wanted on the committee, or we would approve the committee first and then discuss it?
We approve the committee, but we better give it a name so we know what we're doing.
Oh, I would call it the Indigenous Peoples Ad Hoc Committee. I don't know if I want to use the word issues as much as
Gives you an umbrella topic to.
yeah, the Indigenous Peoples Ad Hoc Committee. Does that work for everybody, or does somebody want to add something to that? Indigenous people's issues, because there could be some great things. I do a lot with the tribes up at back high, so sometimes there could be awesome things, not just issues, that could be reported by the committee. Jim?
Well, not to belabor this too much, but if it's an ad hoc committee, it's a single issue committee. So you may want to make a statement that's broad enough, but somewhat reins in the committee from going off in tangents. So I think the original suggestion of the Indigenous Peoples Committee is plenty broad.
Too broad?
No, I don't think it's too broad. No.
Okay. Indigenous Peoples Ad Hoc Committee, end date 6/30/22 at this point. Sounds good to everybody? Is there any further discussion? Anybody who is not a board member have anything they'd like to add? Besides a beautiful smile, Carpani? All right, then let's take it for a vote. David?
Right. Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
my vote is a yes. Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Aronoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Lochte,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, who would like to be on this committee? Is there anybody who wants to volunteer to be on it, or are we gonna have a committee with nobody on it?
Why don't you appoint?
Okay, Guy, I'm gonna appoint you to this committee, but not as a chair. I think that Lisa's gonna want to be the chair. And I can't sit on the committee, but I can come to the committee meetings, correct?
As
And
long
not if there are 4 people on it. You can't be the 5th.
Got it. Okay. And I'll send David, could you send an email out? Would you be able to send a quick email out at some point in the next couple days that says that we have created this Indigenous Peoples Ad Hoc Committee and asked for volunteers to be on the committee?
You got it.
Larry, would you like to be on the committee as well? Or you feel a little too much?
I'm hopeful that Carol and Lisa would be.
Okay.
that would make sense.
That would make sense. All right, I agree. Okay, let's wait and see.
I'm not sure what we're going to be doing with it, but sure, yeah.
Well,
You can put me on it.
yeah, I think that from my understanding, when I was talking with Lisa, when she wanted this added, Indigenous Peoples Issues, missing and murdered rates, she talked to me, and she also sent some emails and said that the Human Rights Commission should be at least talking with and giving information to the Board of Supervisors that this is a pressing thing in our community, and that we should be able to put something together to let the commission, the supervisors know how important we think it is. I think that was kind of just the beginning of what Lisa wanted to look at. Okay. Item 13, I see that we have discussed needs for finances next month will be new business for a possible grant application for McLean, sorry, boy, I've just had a minute there. And also, agenda item for next month is standing committee rules. Did you get both of those, David?
Yes, thank you.
All right. I believe that those were the only 2 things we kind of discussed. Any other future agenda items proposed? Ms. Lochte?
This is not exactly an item, but on the 2 agenda items, the unfinished business and new business, we should state that action may be taken on any of those.
Discuss some possible action. Thank you. I'll include that next time.
For all of them, just to be sure that we're doing exactly what we should do, because we have taken action on some of those things.
Thank you, Bird. I'm never too old to learn. I'm adding it to my notes for the next. All right. Go ahead, Jim.
One other thing along the same lines is I wish you would reinstate the guest speaker slot at the beginning of the agenda. It doesn't have to be filled every week, but at least if we have somebody like our guest tonight, that way it doesn't fall into public comment. It's a presentation and it could take longer than 3 minutes.
It was interesting. The only reason I removed it was because I was told that it had just recently been added, and I looked back at old agendas and it wasn't on there. But I have no problem.
It had been recently added, but because of the EPD texting issue,
So where do you think it should go in the agenda?
probably right after the minute.
Right after public comment?
No, I would do it before public comment.
So we want to do guest speakers and have the public wait to do comment before agenda adjustments and public comment?
I don't see what the connection is between public comment.
No, I'm just trying to find a spot to put it for when I do the next one. So call to order, roll call, approval of minutes, agenda adjustments, and then guest speakers. Okay. Yeah, I just want to know where to put it, Jim. That was all. I can go back and look at other agendas too. All right. Believe it or not, it is 6:30. We've been running over a half hour very often, but today we're getting a payback reprieve. Guy?
I'm waving goodbye.
Oh.
Happy holidays.
If there is anything else anybody wants to add at this moment, otherwise I move to adjourn at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Well
Perfect timing for me. Thank you.
Perfect timing to go pick up your kid.
On the dot.
Everybody,
I'll be another year older next time you guys see me. My birthday's the 23rd, so have a good one.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
yes.
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
All backwards.
Recording stopped.
Hey.
All right, guys. So there's that letter. I'm going to try and get together with Jim because since you live up there, you can just, it's a little quicker for you to come pick it up for me at Mac than it is for. So there's a letter some guy wrote who lives in Blue Lake, who's 85. He's a former teacher. He felt that the whole problem with homelessness was that everybody moves up here and makes the homeless problem bigger because they're up here for drugs.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I was like, well, as a teacher, I could tell you that, there are close to 2,000 youth that we consider McKinney-Vento, which means that they don't live in a stable housing situation. They're living in a bedroom at a grandparent's house, or they are, living in a car, or, so I think there's a lot more to the homeless issue than just coming up to do drugs. But I do want to give it to the committee, but it was addressed to me specifically, and the person said they wanted acknowledgement that I received the letter. So I will send them a little quick note pack that you and I can sign that says, yes, we received the letter. Thank you very much for your.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the local PD all says that, drugs among the homeless is about 5% of the problem.
Right.
So,
and that would be something that sometimes we just want to say that to people, like, you're so full of shit, but we don't say it. Yeah. I'm not recording anymore, so but it's very frustrating. Yeah.
So when do you guys get off? When do you guys go on winter break?
I get off on the 17th, my last day up at Mac. Or both schools, yeah. And then I have 2 weeks off, and then I'm just going to kind of chill. And then they've got that new flight. So I'm going to try flying over to Reno because I usually drive. And my daughter lives about 45 minutes south of Reno. She lives
in Gardnerville?
Close, but she lives, I don't know if you know that area.
Yeah.
She lives on the Mesa.
Oh, okay.
So she lives up on Mesa Vista or up Woodford's. So up the hill, you can see her house from Gardnerville. So they've got 5 acres and a beautiful house. She's a professor, climate change scientist over at and her husband is a senior fire scientist for Cal Fire. So they're 3 miles into California, because at the time they thought that he couldn't, when they were looking at houses, that he couldn't get his job or couldn't keep his job if he moved outside California. So found out later he could have, but they have a house in Myers too. But they live in a beautiful spot. There's not many homes up there on the Mesa, so they've got.
Yeah. So who's the kitty behind you?
Oh, she's so old. That's Lokita. She's 17 or 18. I don't even know how old she is.
She's cute. I've been watching her. She reminds me of, we have a cat, Leo.
How old's Leo?
Looks a little bit like Leo.
How old's Leo? Or Cleo or Leo?
Leo. Yeah, Leonardo.
How old's Leo?
He's about 6. So he's
Yeah, you can see how
he's a
raised
youngster. This one looks like a little bit of an old timer there.
Yeah, she's about 17.
Okay.
And then I've got my little pup down here who's a year and a
yeah.
half. She was supposed to get spayed last week, but she decided to go into heat way more than a month earlier than we thought because they wanted me to wait. Shepherds now, they want you to wait until they are at least a year and a half old or going on 2 years old for their bones, because when you get them spayed, just like it puts a woman into menopause to lose her uterus, it changes their physiology and they have a growth spurt in their bones.
Yeah,
and
not good.
Covered. So, so she did so good today. She spent 7 hours. She couldn't go outside and she didn't go to the bathroom in the house. I didn't know if she would or not.
Okay, well, enjoy your break.
Well, I'm going to try and get that letter from Jim. I'm going to be gone for the weekend, but next week I'll try and get it just so it's up there so you can look at it and see if the committee needs to see it or anything.
Okay, just send me a text. I'll be around.
Okay, thanks. Take care, Guy.
Okay, good night.